This is Hannibal here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube. We're also on Rick Bassman's YouTube channel with a great lineup of guests, truly legends in the combat sports field. And the legend that I'm going to let introduce them is none other than Rick Bassman, who used to run UPW, Ultimate Pro Wrestling, discovered the Ultimate Warrior, Sting, John Cena. Great trainer and great manager. You're doing the Combat Icons at WrestleCon coming up next week in Las Vegas at the Westgate Hotel. So good luck with that, and I'll let you take it away, this great podcast.
Okay, cool. We have our guests waiting, so we don't want to keep them waiting long. But quickly, Devin, as you know, my background in the mixed martial arts business runs as deep as it did in pro wrestling with the Valor Fighting brand and managing a lot of the top guys, the guys that I call like the guys who founded and pioneered this sport. Back when I was growing up, the talk was the toughest man on the planet was the world's heavyweight boxing champion. We all heard that for decades. Then this thing emerges on the scene in 1993 called the Ultimate Fighting Championships. And it's first called NHB, No Holds Barred, because in fact, there were like two rules. You couldn't eye gouge and you couldn't bite a fish hook. And that was about it. These guys that started in the cage, the octagon, were, in my mind, like the true superheroes of the sport. They were the toughest guys on the planet and the most colorful guys. This was before like personas were created, invented, not real, if you will. No disrespect to the current fighters. In my mind, there are like 20 guys that were the legends and the icons, the A list, if you will, the A plus list. And Devin, you know who they are as well as I do. Mark Coleman and Ken Shamrock and the late great Kevin Randleman and Maurice Smith, Boss Root and Marco Huas. There's about, in my mind, 20 A plus level guys. These were the heavyweights. These were the icons. These are the ones that put the sport on the map. And there's one other special guy who was, in my mind, the toughest boxer in the world, who crossed over more successfully into MMA and into kickboxing than any of the others from boxing ever did. So I've, for the past, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, wanted to find a way to honor these guys, the original icons of the sport. So I'm talking to my good friend, who you know, Butterbean, not long ago, saying, Bean, what can we do at a convention? Because Bean, in addition to being king of the four rounders, is now like king of the conventions, as you'll hear. And we came up with this idea to put together the best group of the originating, pioneering icons that we could, all in one place to really celebrate the history of mixed martial arts. So, very happy to put together the unbelievable group of Mark Kerr, Don Fry, and Dan Severn, and the three gentlemen, some of the toughest warriors on the planet, who are with us today on your podcast, Hannibal. Let's bring on Tank Abbott and Josh Barnett and Butterbean.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Guys,
Good to see everybody. I'm getting excited for next weekend. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Well, what do you think's gonna happen there, Bean? What are we gonna see with the combat icons at WrestleCon?
Well, I guarantee you, our group could take on the whole WWE, whatever they want to call themselves now. We would wipe the floor with every one of them.
Long as there's enough insure for when we're done, right?
Exactly.
That's yeah.
Definitely going to have the toughest booth there. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, just with the three of you, and then you add Kerr and Severin and Fried in the mix. It's it's a group not to be messed with. I never thought about the combat icons challenging the rest of the convention floor, but hell, Bean, you said it first. So there you go.
Don't know why it pops in my head. I'm feeling froggy, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, to get this group of guys together and get a chance to meet all of us at once or get a picture with all of us at one time is pretty remarkable. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it also. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm just looking forward to whatever whatever comedy I can muster out of Tank, because usually when we sit together, we just start saying just really strange, silly shit, observational humor mostly. But when you see the world through our eyes, it's a strange. It's not even a Picasso. It's definitely got to be more of a Dolly.
Well, we're not going to have to look too hard or far to find it.
No, we're not.
Oh man, I can I can hardly wait to observe it. I was talking about like wanting to do something business wise with with you guys, the Icons forever. But I have to admit, it's like I'm a fan first. So it's like being you mentioned it a few minutes ago, the group picture. It's like for me, it's been worth it going through all this work because it's been a lot of work to put this together just to get that damn group picture with you all. So that's a pretty cool opportunity. Not just for me, obviously, but for all the fans who are going to be there.
Yeah, a lot of the wrestling fans are also MMA fans, and a lot of us have also wrestled too, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, fun is like, I keep saying that, but it's going to be a great time for us and the fans to get to come and hang out with us.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of stories to be told, and I think it may even surprise some of us to see even some younger folks come up and know about some of the history of what we've done, or at least that which they're able to see, by watching or going on the internet and bringing old stuff back up. So I'm always surprised at some of the references that people will drop and things that they'll talk about. And I go, fuck, how do you even know about that?
Yeah, stuff that is long forgotten. People bring up, and you go, "Oh yeah."
I tell you what, now back when we was fighting, Josh, it's the internet wasn't as big as it is now. Younger kids get on there and learn everything and stuff you wouldn't even expect them to know. You're right.
This is true.
Well, you guys, I had to tell you from the fan perspective. I mean, I'm a student of the sport, and forget from a viewing perspective, and there's nothing more important to the history of the sport. Now, arguably one of the biggest sports in the world, if not the biggest, than you guys that started it. You're the heavyweights that created the sport. I mean, that's incredibly significant, and it's pretty awesome when you think about it. What you guys stepped into. Tank, I hope you're bringing your series of books to the convention, guys. Bean and Josh, Tank sent me his books, and I didn't know he had written a trilogy. And damn, they're good. And he used a lot of pseudonyms in it, which I think was very nice of you, Tank, rather than naming names. But man, it's just a super colorful description of like the Wild West. You just don't see it anymore. Like Josh, you're the greatest student and historian I know in the game. I mean, what are the fundamental differences now between how it is now and how it was then?
Well, maybe someday I'll write a book, but I didn't graduate college like Tank did, so I don't know if it's going to be possible. However, it's a radically different environment now because I think the easiest way to point at it is that when we all got started one way or the other, we just saw something, we said, we're going to do it. Whatever that is, there was a freedom for us to go out and fight. And we wanted to fight. We wanted to test ourselves. We didn't know who was going to show up or where the fight was going to happen. Hell, even how much we were or weren't going to get paid. We just said, this is a mountain and we're going to climb it. Whereas these days, people look at it like, okay, I need to protect my record. I got to make sure I do this. And then I got to go to the UFC. And then it's just like, you've not even done half of the work to get yourself to where you could even be a legitimate contender. You're way over your skis. And if you don't love this, it is going to just chew you up and spit you out and destroy your body for nothing. Most people, I tell them, you're not going to be a champion. You're not really going to make money at this. So if you want to do it, you better do it because you damn well have a hunger and a fire that says you got to do it. Because otherwise, it's just going out there and putting yourself in, medical bankruptcy for no reason. And the fact that few make it is not an indictment of what it is. It just shows you how difficult this is. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. They'll sit there and look at, fighters from earlier ages like, oh, well, they don't have the strength conditioning and blah, blah, blah. And these guys didn't know how to do this. I go, look, Tank Abbott didn't have all these guys to coach him on this and that. But I tell you what, you didn't bench raw 600 pounds. You don't hit like him. You didn't box. You didn't wrestle. You didn't get into actual fights out of a ring enough to know, like, yeah, I can handle myself if I get in here with some dude I've never heard of. He's 400 pounds and apparently does Hawaiian bone breaking. You don't even know what the fuck that is back then. And Tank just goes, well, let's see if he can take a punch to the face. You know, nobody even knew Tank was a wrestler to begin with until he actually started taking people down here and there. Or Butterbean, he's sitting there and go, well, I can get into a ring. What's tough, man? Yeah, I'll do it. Well, shit, I'm too heavy. Well, I'll figure it out. And then bang,
Yeah.
knockout, knockout, knockout. Then all right, well, let's just see how it goes. Let's just keep going. Where else do we go with this? People don't have that sense of adventure, and you know, fair enough, it's kind of stolen from them. Like that doesn't really exist in today's marketplace of fighting, as you could call it. But ultimately, the thing that separates the old school from the new is that we all had to have a passion. And you'll see those who showed up at a tournament, fought a couple fights, and then it just wasn't for them. Versus those of us that just kept going and going and going and keep pushing, fighting here and fighting there. I mean, shit. Tank had a fight in someone's backyard for his last fight. You don't do that shit unless you are a fighter, and you're like, cool, let's go. Is there
You
some
don't love
money?
it, you
Is this
don't
guy
do
going to
it.
show up? Like people don't get it. They just don't get it.
Did
Well,
that's
that came back to bite me in the ass. I would take fights with no training or
Yeah.
anything. The night before, they'd call me up and say, "Hey, we're in a bind. We need you to fight."
Yeah.
I'd sit there going, "Well, I ain't got nothing to do. I guess I'll show up." And I was their fight. And then everybody nowadays goes, "Oh, he wasn't in shape. He wasn't this and that." Well, but when you get called when you're sitting on a bar stool, and Rick did that to me, I went over and fought in London for a fill-in fight for somebody. And I was sitting on the bar, and literally he called me up and asked me if I could fill somebody's shoes. And I said, "What the hell not? Why don't you send me a ticket?" And I left the next day. And
hey,
obviously,
Dave,
go
can I
ahead.
fill a little? I want to fill a little bit in there, man. And this is what I love so much about the warrior spirit you guys have. If Bob Sapp was in that fight against a guy named Gary Turner, one of the best kickboxers in the world at that time, Cage Rage in London when it was really hot over there, and Bob
Yeah,
dropped out. Yeah, like 2 days before. So I called Tank, and yeah, as well as I remember it, you said, "I'm on the bar stool right now. I'll take
I
the
was.
fight. I'll take the fight, but here's the deal. When the driver picks me up, I want to go to the bar closest to the hotel. I'm going to sit
Yeah,
on that stool. When it's time to fight, you let me know. I'll jump off the stool. I'll go fight. Then I come right back to my bar stool." And
yeah,
I'm like, that's fantastic. You gotta love that.
yeah. And you talk about um, these guys go fight in gyms nowadays and the whole 9 yards. There was no such thing as a fighting gym or fighting or people fighting. We had to go into the wrestling rooms after it was closed. My dad had the key at the college there. Go in there and fight with a couple other guys that didn't know what the hell they're doing. But we went in there and fought and trained. There was no structured training. There wasn't anything. It was just like, let's go figure this out. And that's wasn't like a regiment and everything else. Everybody's going to the gym and they're going to learn how to do this. I'm going to take you down and do jujitsu and twist your toe and you can slap on the mat if there's a little bit of pain. It was like, no, we're going to go out and get it on. And no joke. My first UFC, a year and a week before that, I was in jail for doing the same exact thing I did on TV a year and a week later. And that was the cat's meow. I'm like, tell me this world's not crazy. You had me in a cage a year and a week ago for doing the same exact thing. Now I can't walk around town. I couldn't walk through the airport. It was craziness going on. And it was all because there was no such thing as like the UFC and MMA. No one even knew what it was. It was like, but they found out. I went there and said, "Hey, let's go, see what happens," and we all saw. especially Joe Matua.
Being totally opposite of like all the preparation you did to fight MMA, right? Dude,
Oh, without a doubt.
I remember being at Bean's first fight, K1, I think it was against Genki Sudo,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
I don't think you'd ever even watched an MMA fight before, let alone actually train for it.
He
right.
started leg kicking me. I go, this shit hurts. I went and knocked his ass out.
Well, and I remember he got you in a heel hook for a moment, and I swear I could see you looking and like, what is this?
Yeah,
Uh, but there you were fighting one of the best in the world in front of a big Japanese crowd, man. Pretty
yeah.
crazy.
It's all about mentality. You have to
Mhm.
want to do it and not see it on TV and go, "Oh, that looks cool. I'm gonna go do that." I think I'm tough. I'm gonna go to the next MMA gym and go and dance around a bag and then tell people how tough you are.
Yeah, you learn as you go. That's it. That's all you can
Yeah,
do.
You have to
absolutely,
have a sense of adventure, and you cannot be afraid of
absolutely.
the unknown. You bringing up Matua, I guess technically I brought him up first, but
For sure, that's
uh,
the only reason I
uh,
brought him up.
curious, did you guys know each other before you got in the ring? Because he was what, a San Pedro / Huntington Beach guy himself, right? Didn't he work doors or some shit
No,
like that?
yeah, he was a bouncer, but there was a whole contingency of like Samoan, Polynesian kind of guys that rolled around town, and just from their size, everybody was afraid of them. But my dad was a local football coach there at the junior college,
Yeah,
so he knew them all, and I knew them, the family. It wasn't his family, but all the Samoans and the Polynesians down there. So I knew them all, and they all had pretty much respect. But as far as him himself, I didn't know. Ironically, um, I went to go pick up a contract from a dojo thing, like the karate, whatever kind of studios they had back in those days. And I grabbed it and I walked out of the little, it was in a strip mall kind of thing. I walked out of the door and he was getting out of a car, and I was with two friends that drove me there. And they were going, "Oh, look at that big crazy guy." And I just kind of chuckled. And they're all, "What's so funny?" I go, "I'll kill that guy. I'd kill him right now right in the parking lot, if you wanted me to." And the next thing you know, he's my very first fight in the UFC. But as far as knowing him, they ran around the same area part of town, but I had a little bit of notoriety of who was who back in those
mm.
days. And they kind of made it obvious not to get in my way because they found out what happened to him, like they did on TV that night. But he's a good guy, I guess. He was like a bouncer at some big, huge cowboy bar and stuff like that. But I heard he's not doing too well, but I hope he is, as far as life. But you never know.
I tell you what,
'Cause-
it don't matter what shape you're in, you can get back in shape. Let me tell you, I was in a wheelchair for 3 years and 8 months with
oh,
DDT,
absolutely.
and I'm back going. And I'm actually excited about going up against Minoru Suzuki this coming weekend, next weekend. So I'm
Yeah,
stoked.
yeah. So am
Yeah.
I.
Talk.
I can't wait to see it. I'm glad
What both of
glad to see your
you,
progress.
Butterbean and Josh, have fights this weekend, right? Or next
Oh,
weekend?
awesome.
Could
Next
you
week,
tell?
yeah.
Yeah, next weekend.
Well, speaking of people to keep off your feet, keep Suzuki away from your legs. You don't want him playing around down there trying to heel hook your toe hold you. I've a long history with the man. We're very close friends, but I know how nasty he can be on the mats. I too have a match. I've got a match against Gabe Kidd, a guy I used to train actually at the New Japan Dojo here in the U.S.
Is it going to
Now
be on the
he's
same night as
yeah,
you?
no, yeah, yes, it will actually. I believe, yeah,
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I
on
this
can't wait
time
to
night.
watch it.
Thursday night
Yeah,
at
I
Josh
can't wait
Barnett's
to watch it.
Bloodsport 13, and
Awesome.
we're putting together a hell of a card. It's one of the biggest ones we've ever done. 10 bouts, and it's pro wrestling, but no ropes, only win by submission or knockout, and we're gonna go hard.
Yeah,
No,
Josh, I
that's
saw
awesome. I
that
can't
you've
wait
got
to see it.
I saw you got Natty Neidhart and Shayna Baszler both on your card, and Boy, talk about pulling off a coup in the days when you hear that you can't get WWE talent on your shows. And I just hats off to you for pulling that off, dude. I've never seen a Bloodsport show. I've been wanting to from the day you inaugurated, and pretty excited about it. And quick plug for both the
Well,
shows.
I'm going. That's for damn sure. I'll be there, Josh.
Well,
Well,
Yeah,
you're
I'll
all
be
we're
there
invited,
too.
actually.
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to mention with the combat icons, I'm hoping and I believe all of the icons will be in Butterbean's corner when he faces off against Suzuki. And then
Yeah.
later in the night, same venue at the Palms Hotel, Josh's Bloodsport, where there'll be an appearance by the combat icons. So that'll be the first time the group will be together in public that Thursday preceding the beginning of the convention officially.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, this time, Tank, you don't have to run in the ring in between my fight and take your shirt off and give me any advice on kicking the guy's ass.
Okay.
You remember that in Hawaii?
No, I'm
Yeah.
scratching my head, bro, trying to pull the memory.
Yeah. Funny enough, of all the things, watching, you know, watching Bean fight on television, then becoming friends with him, but goddamn, Tank, watching that night, um, not the Matua fight, but it was a fight after that. He knocking a guy out. I remember
Paul
it was
Varlin's.
the day before the state wrestling tournament. We're watching UFC at a friend's house down in Tacoma,
Uh-huh.
Washington, and then fast forward years later, not running India in Super Brawl in Hawaii, seeing you
Oh,
being with you at fight events and SoCal and whatever, wrestling you in Japan, like
yes,
just
I
the
remember that.
wildest. You never know who the hell you're going to run into and how you're going to run into them.
Well,
Wait,
absolutely.
Josh, you and Tank wrestled each other in Japan?
We
IGF,
did.
yeah,
I did not know that. Wow.
yeah.
I think it was at the
Um,
Budokan or something like that. I
My
don't remember.
Diogo, I think it was at the Sumo Hall, yeah. And
Yeah,
I
I
remember
wasn't.
we are doing a press thing a few days before the event, and nobody really told us about this, but Kendo Kashin and this other guy were going to get into a brawl in the venue. And we're in this, there are these two tucked away rooms for each side. So they're keeping the opponents away from each other, but they're these private rooms. Man, Kashin comes flying in, kicks the door apart, and Tank's sitting there. He's got his beer in his hand. He just goes, doesn't have anything to do with me. He's just sitting there. We're eating our food. They're fighting all over the place. Like, just don't spill my beers, tip my food over. And then they go philandering out, knocking shit
Well,
over all over the place. Those
it's prof-
doors
yeah,
were
it was
broken.
professional wrestling, so you never know what's up.
Yeah, those doors were broken from that incident until they moved that place.
Oh yeah, I remember
Never,
that.
never fixed them. And I'm just sitting there laughing my ass off, and you're just like, no, all right. Doesn't have anything to do with me.
Right, exactly right. Well, in for the show, why not?
Hey, Tank, going back a few minutes to something you said about wishing John Matua well. First of all, I met John once. Seemed like a super nice guy. Just only one impression, but
Yeah,
I think it's cool all these years later that you would say that. And I think a lot of people have impressions of you guys that are just like inaccurate. I mean, I know you guys to all be first of all super intelligent. I think Tank, your reputation was that of like the ultimate bar brawler. So people might not expect that of you, but quite the opposite, I think, of what people would expect. When it comes to your opponents, guys that you fought, like how do you guys generally regard them? I mean, anybody, please take that question. Not as a fight opponent, but as a person, or even potentially a friend later.
I've made friends with people I've fought after the fight. I never really liked fighting guys that I
yeah,
really didn't like. If I didn't like them, I really didn't want to fight them because they made a big payday also. People don't might not understand that, but you can hit somebody's nose, bust their nose wide open. But if you take 50 grand out of their pocket, that's going to hurt a lot worse.
yeah. No, I don't really pay attention to it. Whatever. If you're cool, you're cool. I'm like a mirror. If you're cool to me, I'm cool to you. Punch me, I'll punch you back twice.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm mostly friendly or even become friends with a lot of people I've competed against. You know, it wasn't anything personal. And if you're a dickhead, then you're a dickhead. And I mean, that just speaks for itself. But I also agree with Bean in that, you know, people, there have been a few guys to, you know, they run their mouths quite a bit and step over the line, I would say. And, you know, everyone's like, oh, well, there you go fight him now. I go, I mean, for one, you can say whatever you want, but there's a manager, his manager's in the way, the promoter, himself. There's no guarantee if this fight happens. But if he really wants to fight me, he can go meet me backstage. He can find me out on the street, like whatever, you know. And I tell him, anybody running their mouth, I would always go, well, we can go then. But nobody ever wanted to go. And they go, well, why won't you just fight him in the ring? I'm like, I'm not making him rich.
Exactly.
Hell with that. If they really got a problem with me, then we'll just go here. Or, you know, if it's real bad, you know, maybe I'll wait till he goes in the bathroom. I'll go find him in there and have my buddy block the door. It's like, there's a difference between, are we being professionals, or are you really trying to make this like a real personal crusade? And, you know, for one, what did I do to earn that? And for two, if you're in the wrong, don't think I'm going to sit by and let you act like an asshole and run around the world freebie. Like, it's just, we work too hard. There's too much at stake just training for this stuff, let alone getting in the ring, for me to treat things in that manner. And so when people cross that line, it really bothers me, you know, because there is a lot that we do just to show up and get in that ring, get to ourselves at that point and build our whole careers. And, you know, none of it is cheap. But, you know, obviously people's words are very cheap, man. They seem to be able to print as many of those as they like.
Like
So,
when me and Larry Holmes fought, we did not like each other.
Hmm.
There was no like, there was so much money I didn't care. But now we're good friends because he earned, you know, I earned his respect. He knows now that it wasn't going to be easy like he thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
And me and Cabbage, I mean, we fought 4 or 5 times now. We're really good friends. So yeah, I
Well,
mean, the
see,
fight game can make really good friends.
so hey, Josh, kind of on that note, and on the note of what you were talking about, it's like I sometimes think of like you and Dan Henderson being in the same category. What I mean by that, if you look at your guys' records, you guys fought everybody. You guys fought like the top names in the business from A to Z. Who are We're on a podcast. You have fans here. People love to hear names. I'm not going to ask you who are the guys that you fought that you don't like, but who are the guys that you fought that you're friends with now? Do you mind sharing?
Oh, God, who would I say? Uh, you know, I've had a pretty good relationship with most folks. I'd say some of the people that I've still, well, I mean, Randy, still friends with Randy. I was friends with Randy before I fought him. I actually helped him train to fight Pedro Hizzo once. Pedro Hizzo is a person that's quite close to me. And so when I eventually made my way down to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro, you know, he took me into his gym, took care of me, took me around. Mirko Krokop is someone I call a good friend. You know, being in Zagreb, you know, he took me out on the town, took care of me. You know, he's just a lot of these guys are very, very good guys. And, you know, we don't necessarily, it's like typical male bullshit, right? We don't have to see each other for 10 years, but it's just like it was yesterday. You know, as long as everything's good, hey, it's good. You know, I haven't seen Tank in forever, but I know if I'm sitting down with him, we'll be talking shit. We'll be having a good time. Yeah, same with Bean. You know, it's just, you know, we know that, you know, we have respect for each other, and that I think is key, even with a lot of your opponents. Whether you won or you lost, if you earn each other's respect, then man, it's a world of difference.
Well, and again, on kind of a related note, Tank, for you to
I was
address.
going to say I don't talk to anybody. So
Well, so to address the elephant that's only half in the room. So when we first posted the lineup for the combat icons, we have literally hundreds of comments, maybe in thousands now. That, oh my God, Tank Abbott and Don Fry are going to be in the same room. How the hell is that going to go? I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I hope that you guys are buddies, but how is that going to go?
I don't care. Who cares? And you know,
Everybody's going to be happy and making a
Yeah,
good time with a
exactly.
lot of folks and meeting and greeting and taking pictures and signing autographs, and we're going to have a great time.
I
Good
was gonna
answer.
say, Bean just summed it up right there. I don't.
Good.
Who cares? You know, if got a problem with me, then whatever.
You know,
I
I
don't lose any sleep over you. Trust me about that.
It's not about us, Rick. It's about the fans this
no,
weekend.
and being I agree. I mean, I know Tank and Don both are super good dudes. So I hope and expect, dare I say, expect the best outcome possible. And like you said, smiling, taking pictures, having a good time. So love that idea.
Yeah, somehow I don't think Don is going to have any problem with Tank. I just don't see
I
it
don't either.
happening.
I
And
don't know what happened to Tank there, but he disappeared for a second.
he got so mad about Dawn Fry. No, I know
Yeah,
that.
Tank was actually
apoplectic.
mentioning before he came on, it was actually Don that had more of a problem with Mark Kerr more than Tank in that same interview.
Mhm.
And I know Mark is a very laid back guy, but
Yes, he is. Yes, he
that's
is.
really what it was about.
I just know
There he
everybody
is.
at
Want to come back?
WrestleCon's going to have a good time. So
Yeah,
it's going to give all the fans of WrestleCon, if you haven't got your ticket to WrestleCon, you need to get it now because we're all going to be there.
Yes,
Yep. And
sir.
Yeah, the link to pre-order is in the description, by the way, for anyone watching this. If you want to pre-order any of the pictures, just go to the description of the video.
pictures, autographs, and Hannibal. Well, we've got you on real quickly. We should probably wrap up pretty soon, but why don't we touch on? We got the combat icons, MMA legends at WrestleCon. Why don't we touch really quickly on everybody's pro wrestling connection? Because in this group, everybody has a very major pro wrestling connection. Let's talk about that for a second.
Isn't
Hannibal, lead. Why don't you lead, if you will?
Well, I think Josh could probably answer this, but isn't Don Fry a former IWGP champion in New Japan?
that's a good. I don't recall if he won the belt or not, but I wouldn't be
Okay.
surprised if he did. He was brought in by Inoki. It was Inoki's final match. His retirement match was against Don Fry. Yeah,
Which is
So def
super significant. And Josh, I know Josh is the historian and the ultimate word on this, but my understanding, Josh, is that Inoki personally selected Don to be his final opponent. Do you know anything
he
about
did.
that?
I do believe he did. I don't know the entire story behind it, but yes, Inoki picked Don specifically.
That's I mean, to me, that's incredible. Inoki's one of the biggest legends, if not the biggest, in pro wrestling. That's a big distinction. And then Tank, you're a guy in the UFC who somehow ends up with a major push at WCW at the height of the Monday Night Wars. How did that happen?
It's got to be smooth. Yeah, no, it was it happened. But anyways, the pinnacle of that, or the peak for me, was wrestling Sid Vicious for the title in Minneapolis. That was quite the night and a whole experience. WCW was one hell of a ride, man. It was a fun time. Yeah, it was probably expedited my health, but my health problems, but because those guys are like rock stars, man.
Mhm.
You're living the life, man. Private jets and getting down and doing all sorts of crazy things, and I fit right in. It was a
Well,
great time.
yeah, it was fun watching you back then. I remember that well. And you go into a company that has a lot of well-known or supposed tough guys, at least the Steiner
Yeah,
brothers, Haku or Ming, whatever he was called in
yeah.
WCW. How what was it like the first time you walked into that locker room? How did people regard you?
No, everybody was really professional. It was cool. No one knew how long I was there for, gonna be there for, and turns out everybody was really cool, and everybody's got their own, what's the, I don't want to say gimmick, but their aura about who they are and the Steiners and Ming and all the tough guys and all that, and they are in the professional wrestling world, and I wasn't going to take anything from that, but I was just there for the ride, and it was quite the ride. Yeah, that was probably one of the highlights of my life. Those 2 or 3 years I spent with them was, like I said, it probably expedited my health problems, but I had
It's
a
not an
lot of
easy
fun.
life. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not an
I had a
easy
lot
life.
of fun getting there. So
Oh man,
it
and
was that once I fell off the cliff with drinking, that was quite a painful ordeal mentally and physically and everything else. But I made it 7 years, almost 7 years now, coming up real soon. I mean, it's kind of whatever. I don't want to get into it, but going from my last fight, I fought the was War something, I forget his name, but I was 1 foot in the grave there. I went up to my hotel room and told Paul, I go, when there's, there's a time limit because I think they were doing a video or something. I said 5 minutes before, come get me. I got to lay down. So I went up to my room in the hotel, and he come knocking on the door, and he's all, "Hey man, you got 5 minutes." And I tied my shoes, walked right straight into the octagon, and talk about a surreal moment in life, man. I went out there and go, "Okay, man, it's time to get it on." And a couple fists went flying by my head, and I go, "Oh, this is real." And so I took him down and did what I could do, and that was the last fight I had. But before that, I was going to fight Severn out here, and I couldn't pass the physical. I was very, very sick, but I didn't let anybody know. But it's what it is. I'm still here, man. And if you get to the point when you're on your deathbed, and I went a little bit beyond. I died 5 times. I count every day as a blessing, and I'm really happy to be here. So I ain't
Well,
got
you
time.
got one up on me. I come back, but I didn't come back from the dead.
Yeah.
you
And
you
right
you
on,
were
man.
pretty close, Bean. You weren't far, Bean. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy for you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you, man. What an awesome thing to do.
All 515 pounds of me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great.
Josh, I think Butterbean would agree with this. Could you book Butterbean against Buff Bagwell for your blood sport?
Oh,
If
that'd be
Butterbean.
awesome. That would be a match I would jump into for free.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar with the backstory on that, but he does have a really big hat he likes to wear. That's pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
Last time I saw Bagwell, actually, he was backstage at a Joy Janela Spring Break Day 2. This was WrestleMania week in Dallas, and he had just had some surgery or something. He wasn't walking too well, and he had to go up this deal in the back to get out to the stage or whatever. And I remember picking him up off of the thing because he's having trouble getting him down. I picked him up, carried him, put him back down on his feet for him. Because guys hurt.
He's out there still doing his thing, man. You got to take your hat off to somebody like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even his big hat. So,
Even his big hat. Yeah, well, that's how he keeps a pump up, picking that big hat up.
Absolutely. The weirdest thing of all, this is a little side note, but we were in Denver, and my sister and her daughters and everything lived out there. And so I went into the arena beforehand, and they wanted to meet the wrestlers, so I'm like, okay. And they were so up in arms, crazy about meeting Buff Bagwell out of all the people. I didn't get it, but whatever. It made their day, so whatever. He like I said, I don't got any problems with anybody. I never had a problem with him.
You haven't got to know him good enough yet. But Josh, I'd throw my hat into the ring too if you ever need someone against Buff.
Well,
in a shooter work shirt.
well,
it's
Hannibal
not
and
something.
Bean.
It's not
Wait,
something that's been playing in the back of my mind as a potential, but I guess I'll keep that in mind. Yeah,
I
my
tell
experiences have all been good. So
you
He's a
guys,
great heat seeker, but
I'm
yes.
I'm feeling a
Josh,
little
I'll just give you
worried.
one more plug for your thing before I go off. Coming up against Gabe Kidd, April 17th.
I'm excited about it.
it's gonna be a
It's
good night.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be a
yeah,
great it's gonna be
absolutely.
a great weekend, guys. I mean, it could be Butterbean and Tank Abbott and Josh Barnett teamed up with Dan Severin and Don Fry and Mark Kerr at WrestleCon in Vegas. Man, it's gonna be
It will be the only time to get a picture of all of us together with you. So, hey, you need to make it there.
Absolutely. You never know what's going to happen.